Hi, my name is Michael Grinder. Have you ever wondered why people sometimes talk about nonverbal communication in the classroom? Actually, you might be curious to learn that over 80% of what you communicate is not what you say, it's how you say it, and then what you do with the rest of your body. So we're going to show you some strategies, and we're going to organize them in 4 different components. We're going to talk about the nonverbals when you're trying to get their attention, the nonverbals while you're teaching, the nonverbals when you're doing a transition into them doing reinforcement called seat work, and lastly, during seat work itself. So when you finish this, you're going to have a whole list of skills. Most of these skills come from our book, Envoy. It stands for Educational Nonverbal Yardsticks, but you can't print a book called Envy, so we stuck a small O in there, so it's called Envoy. It's your ambassador to understanding nonverbal classroom strategies in terms of how you get their attention, teach, transition to seat work, and seat work itself. Michael Grinder here. Welcome aboard. So how do you get a class's attention? They may be doing a variety of things, and you've got to figure out how to pause your body to indicate to them to pause. So if you're walking to the front of the room and you're saying, hey, look up here, that's not going to work because you're contradicting yourself. Your nonverbals are indicating walk, but your verbal is stop. So if I may, number one rule when getting their attention, pause. Whether you pause your full body or at least a frozen hand gesture. But once you indicate to them that you want their attention, keep it very brief and make sure you're just above the volume level of the class. That means if they're really working quietly, you have to go like this, class. If they're very noisy, class. So just above is our second skill. First one, freeze body. Second one, get volume above. Then freeze with a hand, class. Class. The frozen hand gesture on an easy day works. On a hard day, the whole body has to be frozen. Once you have their attention, now start teaching. And one of the things you're going to find when you are teaching, if you can, talk with your hands. Hands communicate tremendous amount of information, and it's interesting to the class. But you have to make sure, as you are talking, from time to time, pause. And when you pause, keep the hand frozen because it indicates to them, I'm not done yet. There's more to come. The pause also helps whatever you say after the content and before the content, they're joined together. Why? Because of that frozen hand? Yes, it's so powerful. Whenever you can, if you want them to really remember something, make sure you turn and point to something visual. Now notice we didn't say just turn and point. Our eyes went with us. So eye and hand coordination, eye and hand looking at the same information will make a huge difference. If you don't believe me, try this. Be in your classroom and point to something, but look at the class. Where do their eyes go? Back on you. They're not looking where you're pointing. So to support your nonverbal hand gesture, make sure your eyes go with it at the same time. It may sound funny, but you have to be next to the content if you're too far away, because some of us are used to, here's my projection, and I'm looking down at what they're going to see, but it's way behind me on the board. It's too far away. You've got to have your body next to the content for them to understand. So if you want, whenever you are getting their attention and you want to make sure they go into some kind of content, go visual with that content. Eye and hand is supporting. So we've covered the skills in terms of how you get their attention. If you would, freeze body, or at least part of it, if not the full body, and then make sure your voice is above their volume. And then if you would, during that pause, frozen hand gesture, minimum. Then drop down to a whisper and you're fine. This third thing we said was if you can, show them something that they can go to immediately and make sure your eye and hand are pointing in the same direction. Now, once you get into teaching, as we mentioned, make sure you use your hands on a regular basis and pause on a regular basis. It'll make a huge difference. It allows you to breathe allows them to catch their breath, and you are connecting what you said before and what you said after that pause. Now the question is, you have some questions that they're going to ask you. What do you do about those questions from a nonverbal standpoint? So let's pretend I'm off to the side of this room and someone on the same side I'm on asks me a question. What will happen is I will tend to step towards that person, engage them with my eyes, and what will be interpreted by that half of the room is, this is a private conversation. So they'll tend to go off task. They don't see it as pertaining to them. So here's what you want to do. Whenever you get a question and the hand goes up, try not to look at that hand, but make sure that you recognize that the hand went up. Then continue to talk, walk over to the opposite side of the room. From this side of the room, go ahead and call in the person. Why is this so important? You'll be amazed. Wherever your eyes are, you are managing. Wherever your body is, you're managing. So make sure that you are on the opposite side of the room so that your body manages the people here, but your eyes looking over there manage there. That's why when you take speech 101, they always say, look at the back row of your audience. Why? Because your body will maintain engagement with the front of the room audience, and your eyes will maintain engagement with the back of the room. Now, if you can, try to always have two places you can. What do you do if you get caught on the same side? So over here, and I've engaged with the student, I understand what they're saying, but I know I'm losing that half of the room. It's easy. Make sure you walk over the opposite side of the room of the student. Go visual with something, because your excuse was, I had to go over here to write. That means that if I get caught on the same side, just go to the opposite side of the front of the room, write, and you'll be absolutely fine. So now we've covered getting the attention and the idea of when you're teaching. Now we're getting ready to go into having them do their reinforcement work, sometimes called seat work. How do you go about doing that? So during seat work, you want to get out of the front of the room and you want to go out and help individual students one-on-one. To do that, you have to leave a representation of your expectations at the front of the room. How do you do that? Go visual. Make sure you're really detailed on what they have to do. Try to cover not only what are we doing, how are we doing it? What are the materials that are needed? Make sure when do they finish and where do they put it? And then when they do finish, what do they do next? Cover those 5, you'll be fine in terms of them being involved. It's called exit directions because you're going to exit from the front of the room and go out and help students. All grade levels, when you have finished your exit directions, try to go like this. Any questions, if you teach middle school, about this? Otherwise, there are no rhetorical questions on the middle school level. When you have a question that comes up, in addition to answering it verbally, make sure you write it. Why? Because you're going to answer it 3 more times during seat work. Make sure you go visual with your information. Some teachers love to go nonverbal, and here's my exit directions, and I use a different color for the additional information, because then it highlights them. It marks it off in their mind. That handles the transition. Then from 2nd grade on, there's a second skill, and you go like this. You may begin. Stay still for 20 seconds. The student starts coming toward you, try to stop them without making eye contact, indicate for them to go back. At the end of 20 seconds, you have created a very nice atmosphere. Even if they're doing cooperative learning, it's a lower volume level. So 20 seconds, have them engaged, then start going out and helping. So now the last phase of the lesson during seat work. I'm here, I look over, someone is not engaged. I have to ask myself a very important question. Can they do the work? If the answer is yes, I can manage. If the answer is no, they don't need a manager, they need a teacher. If they can do the work, say their name, they look up at you, eye and hand go towards and redirect them towards that exit directions so they go back on task. If you can, the most successful managers always manage from a distance. We know walking over and being next to them will gain their attention. But if you can do it from a distance, it's even more important. So Michael Grinder, to summarize what we're talking about today is the nonverbals from a book called ENVOY. It talks about what to do with your eyes, your voice, your body, and breathing, and it makes a huge difference. There are two more almost extra that we want to talk about, and it has to do with understanding when you are approaching a student one-on-one, do you use power or do you use influence? Do you know the difference? So here's a chart that explains what the difference is. If you are close to the student, you literally are using power. If you come up to the side of the student, you're using influence. If you go verbal, you're using power. If you go nonverbal, it's much more powerful in terms of influence. If you can, where is your eyes when you're approaching that student? If you're looking at them and you make eye contact, oftentimes they'll escalate from a management situation into a discipline situation. Don't. So where do I look? Look at their work. It'll make a nice difference. If you can, the farther away you can get them from being off task to at least neutral, pause, stop, wait. You'll be amazed that a lot of times if they can do the work, they'll go on task by themselves. That's our first extra thing that we want to cover. The second extra thing that we want to cover is understanding your voice and your breathing. Most of the time we talk about voice patterns of being, credible when my voice comes out flat like this, approachable when my voice comes out like this. We know that the lower the grade level you teach, the more you use this approachable voice pattern. The higher the grade level you teach, the more you mix the two of them together. What is the difference between that approachable voice pattern and that credible voice pattern? Well, first, understand it's produced by your head. If your head is bobbing, you're being approachable. If your head is still, you're being credible. When you're being approachable, you are seeking information. Use it anytime you want to have an engagement. So class, who knows that voice going up and down encourages people to absolutely participate. But there's other times when you want to indicate what I'm about to say is not open to negotiation. You need to work now. So I made sure I kept my head still and dropped my chin at the very, very end. So if you would, your extra is credible versus approachable. Make sure you understand how to do both. Michael Grinder here. Thank you for letting me share all this information and the two extras from Envoy. Enjoy being a teacher, and we appreciate that you are in education.